Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. I'm very happy to meet you with this new lesson, which is a grammar lesson, and it's going to be about modal verbs. Okay, before we start speaking about modal verbs in details, let's give a definition of what modal verbs are. So modal verbs are also called modals, modal auxiliary verbs. Modal auxiliaries are special verbs which behave irregularly in English. Special verbs, not like other verbs, and we are going to see why. These verbs have some characteristics. The first characteristic is that they never change their form. They never change their form. For example, you can't add s or ed or ing like in other verbs. For example, the verb can, you cannot say cans or canned or canning, unlike in regular verbs like you can say likes, liked, liking. So the first characteristic is that they never change. Number two, these verbs are always followed by an infinitive without to, which means that the verb is followed by a bare infinitive, infinitive without to. The third characteristic which makes modal verbs special verbs is that they are used to indicate modality, to allow speakers to express certainty, possibility, obligation, necessity, ability, advice, etc., etc. Now, in the first part of our lesson about modals, we are going to speak about modals in the present. Modals can express different ideas. The first idea is obligation, and it can be expressed by using the modal verb must or have to. Obligation means that something is compulsory or something is obligatory. Example, drivers must or have to stop when the traffic lights are red. Drivers must stop or have to stop when the traffic lights are red. It's necessary, it's compulsory, it's obligatory. Advice, another idea that modals can express, is the idea of advice. Advice can be expressed by the modal should or ought to. Example, you should see a doctor. You ought to see a doctor. Ought to see a doctor, which means I advise you to see a doctor, or it's advisable for you to see a doctor. Lack of obligation can be expressed by need. Don't need to, needn't. Example, you don't need to buy any eggs. There are plenty in the fridge. For example, the wife said to her husband, there are plenty, a lot of eggs in the fridge, so we don't need, we needn't, or we don't have to buy any eggs. which means it's not necessary. Another idea is prohibition. Prohibition means that you are not allowed to do something, or you are not permitted to do something, and it can be expressed by using mustn't. Example, you mustn't smoke here. It's forbidden to smoke here. You don't have the right, or you are not permitted to smoke here. Mustn't. Another modal which can express ability is can. Can means to be able to, or to be capable of. Remember that when we have a preposition, the verb is followed by ing form. Example, Mary can run fast. Mary can. It means that Mary is able to run fast, or Mary is capable of running fast. Certainty can be expressed by must or can't. And certainty means I am sure, I am certain, I am positive. Example, John has a Rolls Royce, so he must be very rich. This is the logical conclusion. He must be very rich. It means I am sure that he is very rich. Why? Because he owns a Rolls Royce. He can't be from England. This man can't be from England. Why? Because his English is terrible. He can't be. It means I am sure he is not from England. Possibility can be expressed differently by using different modal verbs like may, like can, could, or might. For example, it might rain tomorrow. It's cloudy. It can rain tomorrow. It could, or it might rain tomorrow. It means it's possible, it's probable, perhaps, or maybe. Permission can be expressed by using the modals may or can. Example, may I go out? Can I go out? It means, do I have the permission? Am I allowed to go out? Am I permitted to go out? Yes, you can. Yes, you are allowed. Yes, you may, or yes, you can. You are allowed. Now, let's do some practice after we have known the different modals and what ideas they express. We're going to do some practice by the first exercise, which is a fill in the blanks exercise. Now, fill in the blanks using the correct modal verbs. Can, mustn't, may, must, needn't, should. Can, if you remember, can express yes, ability or permission. Mustn't, yes, prohibition. May, possibility or permission. Must, obligation or certainty. Yes, that's it. Needn't, lack of obligation. And should, it expresses advice or moral obligation. Now let's start with the first one. You be tired because you have worked very hard. You be tired because you have worked very hard. I can hear you quite well. You shout. I'm not sure where I will go for my holidays, but I go to Italy. She ride her bike at night without lights. It's not allowed. It's not permitted. I think you see a doctor. It's serious, his wife told him. She speak English, but she can't speak German. This one is the easiest. Okay, now give yourself some time to do the exercise before you go to the correction. Exercise correction. You must be tired because you have worked very hard. You must be. I am sure that you are tired. Why? Because you have worked very hard. I can hear you quite well. You needn't shout. It's not necessary to shout. It's not necessary to speak loudly. I'm not sure where I will go for my holidays. I'm not sure. But I may go to Italy. It's possible. She mustn't ride her bike at night without lights. It's not allowed. It's not permitted. Mustn't. I think you should see a doctor. It's serious. You should see a doctor. I advise you. She can speak English, but she can't speak German. As I told you, this one expresses ability, and it's the easiest of them. Now let's see another type of exercise, which is a rewriting sentences. You are going to rewrite these sentences using a modal verb. Number one, it's not necessary to take a taxi. The post office isn't far from here. Number two, it's obligatory for all drivers to have a driving license. All drivers. Here you are going to start by you. You. Number three, it's possible scientists will find a cure for COVID-19 virus. Scientists. I'm certain there is something wrong with this machine. There. I'm certain. Passengers are not allowed to smoke in this compartment. Passengers. It is advisable for Safa to make a hotel reservation in advance. Safa, advisable. Okay? Give yourself time to do the exercise. Now let's see the correction. Number one, you needn't take a taxi. The post office isn't far from here. You needn't. It's not necessary. It's obligatory for all drivers to have a driving license. All drivers must. It's obligatory. Number three, it's possible scientists will find a cure for COVID-19. Scientists may find a cure or might find a cure. I'm certain there is something wrong with this machine. There must be something wrong with this machine. Must be. I am certain. Passengers mustn't. They are not allowed. Mustn't smoke in this apartment. And the last one, it is advisable for Safa to make a hotel reservation in advance. Safa should, or Safa ought to make a hotel reservation in advance. It's advisable for her. Okay? I hope that you got it. We shall meet inshallah in the second part of the lesson, which will be about modals in the past. See you then. Thank you.